Today's episode 106 is Christmas with Fred. So today is a joyous, a joyous coffee show. All right. Hopefully you have Merry Christmas to you too, Mr. Harrison. Just I don't really have a plan today. I mean I think I have a few things that I wanted to say. Steve Alderetti, Merry. It seems lately I've been starting my show with my morning voice. With my morning voice, I could turn the EQ so I have a lot of bass, and then I could sound like every chronically ill smoking radio personality out there. Yeah. A few episodes ago, I talked about don't call, you know, playing your drums on stage the office. And a drummer friend of mine sent me just a couple days ago a screenshot of Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater posting a big picture of his kit, my office for the night, and thousands of people in a stadium or an arena. And he said, "Go get him." Well, people are just going to do what they do, and that's the way it's working. That's the way it's working. So I didn't jump down into the comments of Mike Portnoy's post, but it's I just have certain feelings about things, and some people say it's not a big deal. It's probably not a big deal. Probably not a big deal. Good morning, Greg. Good morning, Joseph. Man, I got all the cool people hanging out. This is awesome. I was curious who may or may not be watching on Christmas Eve. I thought most of us would be sleeping in, because at my house, 'twas the morning before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring. They're all asleep. Everybody in my house is asleep. 1 second here. So yeah, James says you usually have to pay a quarter for the bed shaking in hotels back in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, and so my touring days started in the early 90s. 92, 93 was my first real tour I'd been on. And occasionally you'd still come across those old beds that had, where you put a quarter in and the whole bed would shake. A lot of times those were broken even. So, yeah. So now, you know what? I need to nudge Mary to give me a quarter every time the bed starts shaking. I better be careful because this conversation could go a dangerous direction. What's Mary drinking? Obviously, you have the whole pot in that mug. Jared, everybody in my house is asleep still. This is a big mug. This holds 4 cups of coffee. It is ginormosaurus. I could almost get inside this thing. Yeah, it is big. So, at any rate, I yesterday was the first time I got on a treadmill and just moving really, really slow. Uh, I do have to be careful I don't fall. That would be embarrassing, and I'm pretty sure it would hurt. So I had, on the treadmill they have like this red wire thing that clips to your clothes, so that if you do fall, it pulls a little thing and makes the machine stop. So I will be doing that again today, getting on the treadmill and moving and just trying to smooth out my motion when I'm walking, and trying to hold lighter and lighter on the rails of the treadmill so that I can get more weight put on that and build that muscle back up. What is happening music wise? Well, let me tell you, Cliff Miller, we are close to being back into a full schedule of rehearsals, which, normally that band doesn't even rehearse. However, I said I need to rehearse, because I got to build up some strength to play. And, you know, we have a private event that we're playing January 3rd. So the producer is coming as my drum tech. She'll be my guest, and she's going to help me get drum set up and play. And so that'll be a private event. And, those things generally end up being where you play a little bit and you sit around a lot, and then you play a little bit and you sit around a lot. so, uh, can oh, let's see. Greg said when I had my situation with my foot, it took me way longer to walk than I thought it would, and I still limp 26 years later. Oh man, I had. Well, Greg, when I've seen you, I haven't noticed you limping. Is that a thing that happens like when you get tired at the end of the day, or or am I just not that observant? The latter could be true. Bart says, "Can you use a multi-clamp to attach a snare basket and practice pad to it?" You know what? I bet the bars on the new rolling walker thing are probably beefy enough I could do that. Yeah, just wheel me in and the drums into the gig. I think us drummers have seen those pictures where the guy has almost kind of like a wheelbarrow set up to his drum kit and just wheels it in, and I think we could make a different version of that for said drummer. So, yeah, getting back to playing music with Cliff has been really great. We did two rehearsals where I played with my left foot. I had my double kick pedal set up, and then we've had one where I just played normal. It's like I mentioned a few minutes ago. It's getting easier to drum, but it feels like I have a 10-pound weight attached to my leg, and so I feel a little sluggish, and I don't have much finesse. I've been trying to get my doubles back in, and the Practa Walker, Bart, you are one of those guys that uh, is capable of thinking. I'm not so much. The next thing you're going to see on the Bart Robley website, bartrobley.com, along with his books, is the invention of the Practawalker. The Practawalker. Greg says the limp is always there. It was more prominent in the winter and as I get older. Okay, yeah, because you probably get the cold weather probably affects that. Um, you know, Many don't know, some do. I shattered my left wrist in a car accident when I was 20. Well, I think it was when I was 21. Pretty sure I was 21. It was in the winter, and I had a Toyota pickup that I drove, and I was actually rehearsing with the band um, to be a fill in drummer. There was a band called Judah from the Treasure Valley. Excuse me, and they needed a fill in drummer for a show they were doing in Caldwell, and I was driving back home. At the time, I was living right behind the train depot up on the hill, and uh, I was doing about 70 on the freeway, and I got near the airport and suddenly hit ice, and so my whole pickup spun, and it happened so fast. I didn't even have time to panic, but this thought went through my head. This is it. And then everything was black. I was knocked out. Uh, so I hit ice suddenly. My pickup spun, hit the median, and so I was headed east. I was in the right-hand lane, headed east, and when I came to, I was upside down in the left-hand lane, headed west. So I rolled all through that median, truck over and over several times. Um, I do remember there weren't any cars on the road because it was pretty late at night when this happened. And when I came to, there was the state police shining a light at my face telling me not to move. And I had blood all over me from where had no idea. Um, Somehow in the rollover, the radio must have been hit because my radio was blasting so incredibly loud, which I'm not in the habit of doing that. I like to listen to loud music, but I don't know, when I'm driving, sometimes it feels like I can't concentrate as well when the music's that loud. So, but it was blasting loud. So I was able to shut that off. I was hanging upside down from a seatbelt, and the only thought was, I got to get out of this car because uh, suddenly all the episodes of Chips that I watched when I was a kid where cars exploded was going through my mind. So uh, I was able to undo my seatbelt and then kind of crawl with my elbows and to this small space where my passenger window used to be, and the cop kind of grabbed me from underneath and pulled me out, and I stood up. Uh, and of course, I think when emergency people are helping you, they don't know to what extent you have any injuries, but I think because I was talking and I was able to undo my seatbelt and move and stuff, that maybe my injuries weren't as bad. So at any rate, an ambulance came and got me, and while I was waiting for the ambulance, my watch that I was wearing at the time started to get really tight, and I could see my hand and my arm swelling up. And so I didn't really know. Going back later and seeing the wreck, the cab of the truck was smashed below the headrests of the seats, and my steering wheel was smashed flat from hitting the pavement. And the only reason that I lived through that accident is the direction of the roll made me lay down towards the passenger side of the truck, and that kind of protected me as the truck rolled over. Had it rolled the other direction, it would have killed me instantly. So say the tow truck driver guys and the state police, I guess. Uh, Thankfully, that didn't happen. But I got to the hospital, and they're checking me for make sure my back is okay and those kind of things, and X-rayed my wrist, and sure enough, whatever the larger bone is in your arm had a big crack in it. It looked like a lightning bolt. It went down and then over and then back down, and then all those smaller bones in your wrist right there had been smashed together, and some of those had little pieces flaked off of them. And so I'm like, great, I'm a drummer and I'm supposed to play this show the next night. Well, in true Fred Fisher fashion, Fred Fisher fashion, there's a there's a new 3-letter F word for you. No, 3 words that start with F. 3-letter F. Boy, I need more coffee. Yeah. In typical Fred Fisher fashion, I played the gig the next night. Total Rick Allen it, with my arm in a sling and a cast, and one hand, and played, and I'm pretty sure I had lots of pain pills going. But yeah, the show was still a success. It's on video somewhere in the sea of VHS tapes I have, probably unmarked. Jim, Merry Christmas. That's cheers for good health and recovery. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. Merry Christmas to you, too. Liam Nixon, good morning, man. I hope your firefighter job is coming along. The Practa Walker by Bartco. I knew it. It's coming. It's coming. I don't even have to make one. I can just Bart one. I could just buy one from bartrobley.com. Bart, I'll expect the shipping on that by January 1st. The prototype. Chris says, I'd love to see that tape. I sometimes think I'd like to see it, but I think sometimes when you see a video back, it ruins it, because in my mind, it was really good. But I might see the tape and go, wow, that really sucks on what I just did there. Hard to say until I'd actually watch it. So, I was looking at this wall of VHS tapes and knowing that I've got a couple boxes of VHS tapes, and I'm thinking, when in the world am I ever going to watch any of this stuff ever again? I don't know. Probably never. But it's one of those things. It's like, do I put that in the trash? I'm not really sure. Not really sure. So anyway, working some stamina back up to play with Cliff. We have that private event on January 3rd. The producer's going to be my drum tech. And we have a handful of new songs that we're working into the set. And Cliff has a handful of new original stuff that there's two in particular that we just kind of buzz through uh, the last couple times, and I told Cliff, I said we should record those immediately while they're fresh and exciting, and so I think we're going to do that. We'll get, and I said let's have them done within the first couple of weeks of January, like at least have the tracking done, which would be great. So there's going to be new stuff from Cliff, and then I messaged the boys in Midline, and I said I gotta play music with you guys. I really I gotta. The physical demands of Midline are much greater than the physical demands playing with Cliff. I love both, but obviously, if you guys know me from Midline, I'm way more animated drummer uh, than I am playing country music. So I said we're gonna get together on January 6th and knock the dust off. Prior to my accident, we were scheduled to play with the band Hinder uh, at the end of August, and I think it was the end of August, and that obviously didn't work out. So we will start looking for other national acts to do shows with once we get the dust knocked off, which shouldn't take long. It doesn't take long with that band. Everybody in that band knows exactly what to do and when to do it, and it's a smooth, nice, oily machine. So that's what's going to go on with Midline, and we're going to get back into it. And then I want to throw a little promo out there for Mrs. F. Her band, Casio Dreams, is playing New Year's Eve at the Knitting Factory, and they have tickets available. I'm pretty sure that you can buy tickets at the door, which are actually going to be the ticket price is usually higher if you pay at the door than if you just buy in advance. So, how do you find information of that? Go to Casio Dreams right here on Facebook or CasioDreams.com and check it out. There is an opening band or group, should I say? I got to move. I still have to readjust how I'm sitting occasionally. There we go. Um, Casio Dreams, the opening group is Red Light Challenge. So the brothers, Sean and Kyle Lester, are awesome. Steve says Casio Dreams, always awesome. Yeah. And Steve, here's your chance for you and the missus to go and hang out. In fact, I don't know if this is still the case or not, but some other friends of ours were going to be sitting at the same table as me, and their son plays in the Boise State marching band, and Boise State's going to is it the Fiesta Bowl? I don't even know. This is how uninformed I am about football. Wherever the big show is for Boise State, the marching band is going, and so because the marching band is going, the parents are going, and so as far as I know, there's 2 tickets up for grabs right at the table I'm sitting at. So if anybody's interested in those, hint, hint, Steve Alderetti, hint, hint, Steve Alderetti, paging Steve Alderetti. I could put you in touch with those people that have those 2 tickets, and you would be sitting with this guy. Yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun. So, I've been watching for information about the drummer for Primus, which I'm pretty sure I'm not the drummer for Primus. I think that if I were, I would have heard something by now. I did turn in my audition material for Primus. Yes, I did. Followed their directions, which, I've been over that before. And about 4 days later, I got an email back from their team of people. I'm assuming it's not the band themselves. That they confirmed they received my audition materials, and that they would be looking at it. And then I saw on December 21st, I think, I saw a post from Primus on their page saying that they were cutting off the drummer submission auditions on December 22nd, which I think that was on Sunday. And they said that they had over 5,000 people send in audition materials. That's a lot of stuff to wade through if in fact they are actually looking at them. Uh, so I don't know what to expect. I put it out there, and we'll see what happens. I'm not getting my hopes up, but people have been asking, so I thought, well, I'll just talk about it. Uh, when my leg is in one position for a few minutes, it gets really tired and starts saying I got to move. So that's why I'm shifting about. So yeah, Steve says I'll talk to the missus. Yeah, talk to the missus. Talk to the missus. Give her a nudge. Hey, missus, guess what? Guess what we could do on New Year's? It'd be fun. Let's see. Just going through. It's officially winter. It became officially winter on Saturday, I believe. So that is the shortest day of sunlight that we have. I'm a guy that likes sunlight. And so now we're on our way back towards which would be the first day of summer, which is the end of June, right? The end of June. Yes. And that's when the longest day happens. So I like June because that's when my birthday is. That's when summer starts, and the weather is still good. Speaking of weather, there's no snow out there in the Treasure Valley. Now, the adult me celebrates that there is no snow to deal with. The kid in me gets a little disappointed because I do like the seeing snow on the ground, at least for Christmas. Then once New Year's hit, I'm like, get this stuff out of here. uh, if it were snowing, somebody else would be on duty for snow removal, like shoveling the walkways and things like that. And ever since I rebuilt my driveway, there is a lot to shovel. The driveway's bigger. I've got this long sidewalk that goes along the side of the house back to the courtyard, which is the entrance to the studio. I have to make sure that that's all cleared for students to come and go, that they're not slip sliding around when they arrive. So uh, there's a lot to do. So at the moment, I'm thankful there is no snow. But there is when it's snowing. Do you ever notice how quiet it is outside and how peaceful it is? It's just very relaxing, and there's a peacefulness to that, and I kind of miss that part of when it's snowing. Now I know all my friends that like to ski are really excited because Bogus Basin supposedly has a lot of snow. I'm not a snow skier or snowboarder or anything. Just something I never got into. I think the last time I went, I may have still been in high school and went with a handful of friends from my church youth group, I think. And it was a blast. I was terrible, but I had a lot of fun. Uh, so I just never really pursued it past then. Even when I had roommates, I had a couple roommates that went skiing all the time. Never once went with them. But yeah, I do miss the snow and Christmas time, and having enough snow to build a snowman with my kids. When Christian was, I think he was 5, and Elliot would have been 3. I built a snowman that was 10 feet tall. Because some of the neighbors had built snowmen, they were like 4 or 5 feet tall, maybe 6. And I went out and I said, I'm going to build a snowman. The conditions were perfect for rolling snow. And Mary said, what are you going to do? Outdo the neighbors? And I said, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I built this snowman that was 10 feet tall. I think he was a little over 10 feet tall when I got done because I had this 15-gallon black planter container that like a tree came in. And I put that on top for his head. I used sprinklers for his eyes, 2-inch PVC pipe for his arms, and then put a pair of gloves on him, and then my whole house was done in Christmas lights. I think the tree was wrapped in Christmas lights. Of course, the tree was much smaller then, and then I took a landscape light and put it at the base of the snowman so that he would be well lit up as the night went on. And it was kind of it was cool because yes, I did outdo the neighbors because that's the Fred Fisher way. And uh, not only that, but people would be driving down our street and we would watch them out the window. And as soon as they saw that snowman, they would slow way down and sometimes get out and take pictures of it. And so it was fun. And so, if there's no snow, we can't build a 10-foot snowman. And Mrs. F went out and cleaned up the front yard like spotless. It looks so good. That we could be rolling snowmen out there and very few leaves would be in the snow. So it would be pretty snow. It would be a pretty snowman. The other thing I like about winter and Christmas is, talking about being a kid. When I was a kid, I would hear these Christmas songs either at my grandparents' house or my parents would have Christmas music playing. But I really like the Christmas music that came from Bing Crosby or Burl Ives. Um, and I know there's Christmas music has been redone by people who are more popular now, or even songs that have happened within the last 30 years. uh, it's okay. It doesn't really do much for me, I think, but because when I listen to Bing Crosby or Burl Ives, it takes me back to being a kid, and it's a little time machine for me. So that's the Christmas music I prefer is songs by those guys, and it makes me feel all warm and fuzzy. So it's good, it's good. Let's see. So when I listen to that music and it takes me back, and then this time of year becomes a time of reflection and being thankful for what we have, and then because there's this period between like Thanksgiving, which was a month ago, and then Christmas, and then New Year's happens next week, so we all kind of go through this time of reflection and thinking back and reminiscing and all of those things and what happened during the year, what was good, what was bad, what do you want to improve on, because we're heading into New Year's, which is a typical time where people say they're going to wipe the slate clean and they're going to make all these improvements with their health and with their careers and all of those things. And I'm part of that, just like everybody else. But when I start thinking back to being a kid with this music and thinking about building snowman, I thought about when it was just me and my sister Susie. We were little kids. My other two sisters came along later, but uh, we would go to Karcher Mall out in Nampa, and those who are around the same age of me will remember that at the main entrance of Karcher Mall, in this big glass display case, they had a polar bear. And anytime we went to the mall, my sister and I, we just had to see the polar bear. I remember that as a kid. That was a must thing to do. Going to Karcher Mall was to see the polar bear, and it was this. I don't know. For me, it was. I felt more connected to that silly polar bear in the winter. It was really cool. And then we would go to the mall and get our pictures taken with Santa Claus, and just remembering being a kid and the magic of all of that, and is Santa Claus real or is he not real? And it didn't matter. It was fun. This little fantasy, and I don't even know what I would ask Santa Claus for. I don't remember if I asked for anything, or if it was like in the movie Christmas Story, where the kids are all excited to see Santa, but as soon as you set them on the lap of Santa, they start screaming. They can't talk, and then they send them down the slide. Uh, I don't think Santa was up on anything. I think he was just on the ground in a big chair. Or not on the ground, on the floor, just single level thing. But we do have pictures of me and my sister being little kids, getting to see Santa Claus. And then when Mary and I first got married and we lived in an apartment, you could take your pets to Petco and they could get their picture taken with Santa Claus. So somewhere we have a picture of Santa Claus holding our two cats and the turtle, Humphrey the turtle, who went and got their picture taken with Santa Claus. So that was something that we did. Uh, those are great memories. You know, when we think of Christmas, there's a lot of emphasis on buying presents for your friends or your family. I don't buy anything for my friends, uh, and my friends don't buy anything for me. I just, as adults, you go, wow, this is there's a large financial commitment to this stuff. uh, but it's fun to get things for your family. Mary, by and large, takes care of all the Christmas shopping for the kids. She seems to. I don't know if it's her specifically or women seem to be more in tune with what people want or need or coming up with gift ideas that really work. So um, she's by and large always taking care of getting stuff for the kids and for me and for parents and things like that. So she works really hard to do that. And so there's very little pressure except for what do I buy the producer for Christmas? And I've always been absolutely terrible at that part. I don't know why. I don't know why. Um, and then on top of it, it's very hard to keep secrets from her, like her finding out what I'm doing. Why are you at this? Because she'll find my iPhone and look to see where I am. I've been in the drive-through at Dutch Brothers and get a text that says, "Get me something too." I'm like, how do you even know where I am? So, if I were to go to, I don't know, we're both musicians and heavily involved in music. So if I went to Guitar Center, for example, and she knew I was at Guitar Center, I would probably get a text message saying, "Why are you at Guitar Center? Why are you spying on me?" uh, one year for Mother's Day, I bought her a brand new acoustic guitar from 12th Fret Music, and I got cash because if there was a charge on the bank account, she would be notified immediately because that's how James says buy your cymbals and borrow them. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. It's like, what do men buy for their wives? Well, they buy them tools, new saws and things. Well, drummers buy. Um, I know I bought you this really cool cymbal, but I'm going to need to borrow that. That would be much simpler. Yes. So I bought Mary a guitar from 12th Fret Music. I got cash, or I collected cash, or somehow had cash that she was unaware of that I had cash. And then I shut my phone off. And not only did I shut it off, but I think I left it somewhere else. Like this would be in my landscaping days. So if I remember right, I left it at a customer's house, like with my tools and stuff. Like, so if she's like looking for me, it's gonna say that I'm at this job site. Don't the Mission Impossible music. So I went and bought that guitar, and then I somehow had to get this crossover point because she got it when we got to church on a Sunday morning when we were getting ready to play for Mother's Day. And I swapped out her guitar that she normally plays and put the new one in that case. And then I had another case that I brought the older guitar with me because I don't know jack about guitars, okay? I don't know anything about having them set up. I don't know anything about electronics in them. I know zero. I know how to carry a guitar. I know how to pack one in a trailer, but I don't. That's where my knowledge stops. So I brought the older guitar with me because I knew that was tried and true and worked in case something was goofy with the new guitar. So when we got there and she opened up the case and there was this new guitar in there, that was a great moment. That was a Fred Fisher win. It's like, oh, I made this happen. Greg says she needs a new DW Masterworks kit. Well, um, A, I agree, but B, I got to straighten you out. Okay, Masterworks is going to be a Pearl Pearl kit, and DW Collector's Series kit. But oddly enough, Greg, I just showed. Let me see if I can do this. I'll do this here. Um, I saw this picture of this new DW kit. The finish is called Dirty Fish Tank, and it is a Mappa Burl uh, drum kit. I think the shells are maple, if I remember right. But Mappa Burl outer finish with brass hardware, and it goes from this natural wood to a dark blue stain. Let's see if I can make this work. Well, it's if I hold it at the right angle, possibly. You guys see that? That is a beautiful DW collector's kit. And just the other day we were driving around and I said, I found my new drum set. And I think every time which has been very few times, where I've got really spent money and got a nice drum kit, has been very, very few and far between. And every time I got one of those, I thought this is the kit that lasts me the rest of my life. Until the next thing that comes along, and then I'm going to need that one for the rest of my life. So I don't know. It's just a fantasy land thing at this point. But I still love my DW collector's kit that I have right now, and that was a special order deal from DW when I got it in 2004. So yeah, see, Greg, I can straighten you out, buddy. I can straighten you out. But I knew what you meant. A Pearl Masterworks would be fine too. Great kit. So, like I said, I've just never been a good gift guy, and to tell you a story about how terrible I am at getting gifts is, and this goes along with Christmas with Fred, okay? And sorry, I got to keep moving my leg. It's really, see, I'm living in the land of I overdid it yesterday, and now I'm paying the price today. When Mary and I were our first Christmas together, were still dating, and we didn't get engaged until that next summer. But Christmas was coming. I had this girlfriend, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what do you buy a woman? I didn't know. If you sent me to the store to buy clothes for her, I would not buy the right size. I would not buy the right style or brand or whatever. If I were to buy perfume, would it be a scent that she liked, or would she turn her nose up? I don't know. Makeup? What message am I sending if I buy a girl makeup? I was just like, I don't know. I didn't know what to do. And then, okay, well, jewelry. Okay. Well, in my mind, jewelry was expensive, and I was a man of limited funds. Nothing has changed. So, um, I didn't want to freak Mary out by buying her jewelry because, like, what message am I sending? Um, I think I knew deep in my gut that we were going to get married and that I was really in love with her, but it was in that kind of point in our relationship where I wasn't really sure of much. Except I really, really loved this girl. So much that I didn't know what to do. Well, she had this Isuzu Trooper, and uh, she had mentioned many, many times that she wanted a bug shield for her Trooper. And so I thought, and at that time I worked for Hertz Rent-A-Car, and at Hertz Rent-A-Car, the shop managers could get really, really good deals on car parts. And so I said, hey, I want to get a bug shield for Mary for her Isuzu Trooper. Which one should I get? How much do they costs, blah, blah, blah. Yes, Greg, see, I am not a very informed person. I cannot think about fuzzy slippers and a fluffy blanket. My kids, on the other hand, can. I'll get back to my awesome kids here in a second, but yeah, Greg, I should have done more research. This is a terrible fail. So I bought her a bug shield for Christmas and wrapped that box. And then another guy I worked with was getting new couch and love seat for his house, and he wanted to know if I wanted uh, his old couch and love seat. And I was like, okay, I'll come check it out. Well, I went over there, and the one couch or love seat piece had been up against their window, and the sun had destroyed the fabric uh, behind it. So it had this big rip tear thing from deteriorating from the sun. And I thought, what a cool thing. I'm going to put this in my garage and I'm going to give it to Mary for her apartment. So I put this furniture in my garage at the house that I rented with my roommates and put a tarp on it, and then I stuck a bow on it, I think. And I was so excited. I got her a bug shield and some crappy furniture. And to this day, it is every Christmas this conversation comes up. And I told Mary the other day, I said it was meant to be that uh, we had to go through that, and so that my kids would be better men with their girlfriends. And so Elliot and Ian both have girlfriends, and they've been really thoughtful about their birthdays and little holidays that come along, or just a little gift here and there for no reason at all. And those two boys went like above and beyond buying gifts for their girlfriend. And to Greg's point, like the fuzzy slipper thing, these big cuddle animal things. I don't know what all they got, but several gifts. And the other night they were having all this fun wrapping gifts, and they didn't know how to wrap gifts to make them look neat. I learned how to wrap gifts, I think, from my parents, but I'm still not really great at it. Mary can wrap gifts and end up using like 3 pieces of tape. I'll wrap a gift and use like 20. So I overdo it with the tape. But I think women just have there's something in their DNA. They are just better than guys at doing a lot of stuff. Yes, Chris, I really did buy her a bug shield, and I too am glad our relationship survived that gift. Yes. So Elliot and Ian were wrapping gifts, and Mary was helping them, and it was really cool to see this little bonding moment with mom and her boys, and taking care of their girlfriends. And and just when Mary tells them the story, it was like, this is way better than what your father did, buying me a bug shield and crappy and rotting furniture. And by the way, that same Christmas, Mary had bought me like $200 in clothes, jeans and shirts and shoes, and I mean, she just went like all out. And when she did that, the amount of guilt and embarrassment that I felt was really tremendous. It was nothing made me feel lower than a snail when her kindness far outweighed mine. It was embarrassing. So just a few more minutes here left with Christmas with Fred. Uh, I was thinking about this last night. First of all, I didn't know what I was going to talk about today. Wanted to keep it light and not really opinionated about anything of any substance. But, as a kid growing up, and then as a teenager and then early adulthood, all through now. I was trying to think, is there anything I received at Christmas that was like, that is like a major thing that I got? I can't think of anything really. As a kid, you want toys and things, and so you put your list together of toys, and you may or may not get them, but you always got clothes, you always got socks and underwear. Um, I know one Christmas I got a pair of drumsticks, and that was a point in my drumming career where you didn't buy a whole brick of sticks, you bought one pair. And you would play that pair until they wore out or broke, and then you'd go buy another one. I didn't really have a stick bag full of sticks. I remember when I graduated to having a stick bag that had like 4 pairs of sticks in it, and thinking, "Wow, that's a really big deal." Drumsticks have always been kind of expensive and a necessary thing. So when you're paying, gosh, back then it would be like $8 to $10 for a pair of sticks. That was a lot for a kid mowing lawns. um, so yeah, I think sticks were always great. Anything drum related. I always liked expensive things. I guess I want a new drum set. I want a new cymbal, like James said. Buy her a cymbal. Uh, Things like that. I can't really think of anything. And then present time, or you know uh, not present, like, what am I trying to say? Good grief, I'm all tongue tied. Present day, not present time, present day, I still can't think of, like, if somebody said, what do you really want for Christmas, I'd be like, I don't know. I feel like, as far as like a day-to-day thing, I can't think of anything like, oh, I could really use whatever that might be. Typically, if I need clothes, when that need arises, then I'll go and get clothes. But typically, I don't even. Mary will buy me clothes off and on throughout the year, so I don't feel like, oh, I should ask for this or that, or even music equipment. So as far as like me receiving anything, I could kind of take it or leave it. It's nice to get something. I've had students bring me cookies, which is really cool, and they'll bring me. A lot of times, students bring me things at Christmas, and maybe it's a picture they drew, or it's some cookies they made, or something like that. Those are the coolest thing, because especially the little kids, they draw a picture. It's like when my kids draw, Jude still draws, but when the other three were smaller and they drew pictures, I've got stuff from each of the boys that they've been part of painting or drawing, that I've put away in my archives box, because they're kind of special to me. So when I get those from students, I think that's really, really cool. Or if they make some cookies or whatever, those are the kind of gifts that I like to receive. So those of out there who are looking for last minute gifts idea, just draw me a picture. But I will say, I really enjoy watching other people open gifts and get excited about whatever it is that they're opening. I do get a lot of enjoyment with that. And I mentioned a few minutes ago that buying for the producer is very difficult. Before, I would have to sneak away, like, oh, I've got some errands to run. Really, where are you going? James says, draw the producer a picture. You might make the fridge. Yes. 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 That's a good place for my artwork to be, is on the fridge. Greg says, I keep all the Christmas cards and pictures that students bring me, and I put them on the studio tree. Oh, that's a great idea. I do not have, well, actually last year I put up a studio tree that's, I don't know, it's maybe 12 inches tall, and that would just sit on one of the conga drums out there. And I would put up Christmas. This year has been a little different, because I struggle getting around, and I can't get up on a ladder or anything like that. So things have been disrupted in many ways. And one of those ways is escaping to go buy the producer gifts for Christmas. So this year I was able to discreetly get some things from Amazon delivered. So she has no idea what they are, which is cool. They're on radar, but you don't really see the whole picture. So she's it's like trying to live with the CIA. She knows what's happening all the time. Really quick, and then I'll wrap this up. Greg, I think that's a really great idea. I do have a folder where I put all this artwork and cards and things that I get from students along the way. Um, the kind of cool thing about that is that my students are thinking about that other than when they're here. They're at home and they're drawing and they're thinking about taking drum lessons and they're thinking about me and that means a lot. I've got one student built this Lego uh, creation of a guy with the drum set playing the drums, and this kid's 8, and he said, I even had my mom put a little silver dot on each ear for his earrings like your earrings. And I was like, wow, that's really detailed and observant that they did that. But I just want to say, I've done these shows now for just over 2 years. This is episode 106, and I've shared a lot of opinions. Some of them pretty set in my ways type opinions about things, and really expressed what I think of certain things. And I just want to make clear that even though that I've done that and said certain things, that I know by and large everybody's just going to kind of do what they do, which is fine. I just I made a decision in my life a few years ago to really go all in with music, and there were several factors in that. One is that I had melanoma skin cancer on my neck right here. I had this big thing removed. Very early stages, not life-threatening, but that is a thing that can become life-threatening if not dealt with. And so that was a big thing that said, I have to be out of the sun. I can't keep doing what I'm doing. And that's not the only reason. There was other things too. But without getting too far deep into that, I found people to communicate with, to get information from, that were beyond people in the local scene, and or people who had way more experience than I did with teaching and with recording and with pursuing, getting a national touring gig, which is still a big goal of mine, is to be able to do that. And because I reached out to different people and got advice and got really great advice, and people who said, yes, this is possible, and yes, you can do that, I get really excited about that. And when I do get really excited about that, I share that excitement. And I just know that when you commit to doing something, the old ways have to stop. And it sounds when you've done something over and over and over and over and keep expecting different results, they say that's the definition of I don't know, the word just escaped me. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. But and then people will double down on that. Oh, I'm just going to work harder at the thing that doesn't work, which I had been part of for so long. Definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. So I had to get out of that loop. Had called and left this voicemail, really, really criticizing what I was doing and how, and part of their message said that nobody cares that much about me. Nobody gives a rip about what I'm doing. Like, stop being delusional. Like, you can't do this thing that you're saying. It's delusional, and because of his experience that nothing was going to happen. So stop acting like it's working out for you. And it was a bummer message to receive. And so now I have this few years of success in what I'm doing right now, and just trying to keep moving the ball forward with that. And it's really great stuff. And I've really become really great friends with certain people along the way. And those people who initially helped me are still heavily involved with my decision making paradigm. And it's really great stuff. So I'm excited about where things are going to go into the new year, so we could talk more about that next week. But I want everybody to have a really great Christmas. If it's happy holidays for you, that's fantastic. But I'm a Merry Christmas kind of a guy, obviously. But have an amazing day. Have an amazing Christmas tomorrow. And I'll see you next week on Tuesday, and we will talk about what's happening heading into the new year, and all of those fun, great things that are supposed to get us riled up and inspired to be the next best version of yourself. So, which will be great because I'm coming out of this broken leg thing. Merry Christmas to you too, Liam. Great that you were able to hang. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to go head to the gym. I'm going to get on the treadmill and see how that feels today. All right? Merry Christmas, perumpa pum pum.